Hey guys, what is going on? Carter here. Got another video for you. We are going to be talking about the Cold Steel SR1. Dreams really do come true, guys. I know that sounds like hyperbole, hyperbole, I don't know, however you say that, statement. But I think it really is true. It's kind of cool. It's kind of fun to see this knife happen. And because I've been wanting this knife for years. I've been a Cold Steel fan for a long time. And if you go back 3-4 years, I don't know, however long, look at some of my old Cold Steel videos, I've always had like a wish list with them. You know, I've always felt that they have amazing potential with what they have, their abilities to produce affordable knives. But there's things I'm like, man, if they could only do this and this, it would be perfect. And with this knife, it almost 100% comes into play. What I'm talking about is the upgrades that Cold Steel has been doing the last few years. And this knife kind of reflects all of them and the things that I wanted to see. So this is a large knife, SR1. Cold Steel, triad lock, G10 handles. Very standard for the most part. However, the devil is in the details that makes this thing so cool. This is overbuilt, super strong, possibly the strongest folding knife commercially available, mass-produced knife that you can get. Because Cold Steel's always had the triad lock, which is, I don't care what you say, the strongest freaking lock you can get that's made. It's stronger than a frame lock. It's stronger than a liner lock. I know people will disagree with that, but I'm 100% convinced it's the strongest lock available, particularly commercially, possibly ever, really, because you can get custom triad locks too. It's just an amazing lock, not only in strength though, but in the ability to still have a lightweight knife. I mean, you can do overbuilt folders with giant titanium slabs, and you could argue that it's all reliant on the cutout. We've talked about this before. Nobody cares about this stuff anymore, but they used to. But you're adding a ton of weight, like super strong, sure, arguably super strong, but the thing weighs 12 ounces. This lock actually makes a super lightweight knife because it's only using heavier materials, i.e. steel, where absolutely necessary to make this thing as strong as possible. And this knife takes it even further. It does that in two additional ways. One is with steel inserts right here, steel liners that the pin, the triad lock pin, which is the crux to the whole system, it's what transfers the energy into the frame, actually goes through steel liners right there, as opposed to your standard Cold Steel knives, which go right into G10, which is fine, still super strong, but this kicks it up a notch. But these liners are only where it absolutely needs to be, basically through here. The rest is just thick G10. So the liners are not all the way through here where you don't need it. It's not up here. It is only where these pins that need that extra strength go through. The other thing that this knife does is it makes the blade stock thicker. It essentially takes the XL sized knives, you know, your Espada XL, your Voyager XL, the really large knives. It takes that blade stock and puts it into the large size knife, as opposed to like this Immortal here, which has your standard large size knife blade stock. You can see how much thicker that is. You can see the thicker handle right there. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But it takes all that along with a super thick tip. Oh yeah, baby, super thick tip. And a flat ground blade, really thick behind the edge. You know, once again, with knives, there's so much give and take. That's what I like about it. You know, you can say, this isn't going to be a good slicer, but this thing is not going to chip on you. It's not going to roll that edge. It is a super strong edge. And in my mind, as long as the knife is executing what it's meant to do, it's all good. I mean, you could say you don't need a lock this strong. You could say you don't need blade stock that thick. You could say, what's the point of a knife if it can't slice? You could say you don't need all these overbuilt features. And that's fine, so get a different knife that suits that need. This knife is going for strong as all hell. You cannot destroy it as much as any mechanical device possible knife. That's what it's going for. And I think it executes it very, very well. Clip point blade, which I really like. S35vn Steel. So this is one of the earlier ones, switching from CTS XH XHP, I think is what they were using. Let me check here. Yeah, XHP is, so this is the first steel upgrade they did a few years ago. Huge success, really like it. Now they're at S35vn. So going back to my story, so I said these things. I said, man, I wish they would upgrade their steel. Check. I wish they would, push the strong knife thing even further. Check. They already have the super strong lock. Let's see some thicker blade stock. Let's see some reinforcement. Check. It's here. Let's see them make a truly impressive super strong knife. And they have, all while keeping it realistically weighted, which we'll talk a little bit more about. The other thing is, let's ditch the ridiculous naming conventions. Check. SR1. Simple. Easy to say. Not ridiculous. Let's not print it obnoxiously on the blade. Not quite there. Still obnoxious. SR1. But whatever. It is what it is. I don't really care. It's fun. Cold steel kind of brings fun back into knives, and I kind of miss that. So really cool. Really excited about it. They're coming out with a Tanto blade as well. I think I may get that one. As ridiculous as it is to get two of these, I might. I don't know. We'll see. It looks pretty cool. I like the Tanto blade, especially on this overbuilt type thing. I wish it had a different scale color so it could at least say, yeah, I need to get another one because it'll look different enough. But I think it's coming in the same forest green or ranger green, whatever, handle right here. One thing, I'm all over the place, guys. That's just how it's going to be. I like this pivot. I like how it has these little steps. It adds a nice little touch. It looks a little custom compared to the usual just smooth kind of industrial looking pivot right there. Everything else is pretty standard cold steel. Really strong pocket clip made out of steel. You're going to have the cold steel problem where this thing is super tight. It's going to shred the crap out of your pants with this really grippy G10. This is Strider style. You've seen the G10. There's a couple different textures. This is the Mega Grip style G10, which I like. However, with the pocket clip, you're going to have some problems. Probably. You can take it off and Dremel this down to make it a little better. You can try to bend the pocket clip as well. A couple things people do. It would be cool if there was a solution to that, but there's not. So just modify it or don't to your wishes. Fully ambidextrous. Studs, which are great right here. Same size too. For a while they would have different size studs depending on the side it was on. So really like that it's symmetrical with the steps right there. You get a great grip. I mean, this is all awesome. No issues whatsoever right there. Fully ambidextrous. Throw the clip on this side. You don't have to mess with an additional clip like they used to include depending on the design. This one just goes on the other side. Left hand carry, right hand carry. It's all good. Perfectly centered. G10 instead of aluminum backspacer, which is interesting. They usually go with the aluminum. This time they went with G10. I assume it's because it doesn't have any sort of glass breaker on it. It's simply a backspacer. Helps reduce weight, which, by the way, for the size, and you can look up the specs, it's everywhere. It's on the box, it's online. But the long and short of it is that for what you're getting, the overbuilt, super strong, large, thick bladed knife, this is not heavy in terms of what you're getting. Obviously, it's not 4 ounces. It's heavier than that. I think it's around 7. But for what you're getting, if this was a titanium framed knife, I mean, forget about it. It would be almost uncarryable, or at least for me. Super heavy. Obnoxiously heavy, but this actually works really well. Balance is pretty good around the choil point. Not perfect, but pretty good. I like that. That's when I pick it up, I like it to be balanced. I don't like it falling forward. I don't like it feeling like I've got a chunk of steel in my hand with this little wispy blade on the end. I like the balance. That's just me. That's one of the things I like. It does have a thicker handle, which feels great in my large hands. Ergonomics are good. They're not amazing, but they're good. Grip is amazing. Super grippy G10. You've got this choil right here, choil on the back, finger groove for the pinky. It's not going to slip out of your hands at all. No problems there. Put your thumb on there. Really good grip. It is kind of thicker, so in the pocket, yeah, it feels thick. In your hand, it feels perfect. So it's up to you on what you prioritize. Do you like it to fill up your hand more, or do you like it to be a little more carryable? It's up to you. It's not obnoxiously thick. If we compare it to paramilitary, Whoa. It's, it's up to you to say how much thicker that is. We're looking at a much larger knife, so it is thicker, but it's up to you if it's too thick. That's what she said. But SR1, really cool. And man, it's just so cool to see things I wanted to see years ago that I honestly didn't think was going to happen. I thought cold steel was going to stay in that lower end market, which is fine, kind of doing their S35 steel, made in Taiwan, so on and so forth. I know in the past they used to kind of go out and do some more adventurous things, and then for a good period of time they kind of stopped. The other thing I appreciate with cold steel is they're very cautious, right? They're not pushing the forefront of things. They're not jumping on the latest trends. They're waiting until things are established and then moving forward. Same with like Emerson. Emerson's even slower than them. Emerson makes sure that trends are more than just trends before they push forward. Getting into flippers, frame locks, steel inserts, things like that. They didn't jump on the bandwagon right away. They waited to make sure that it was something that was going to stick around, people were going to continue to use, was proven and worth the upgrade. Cold steel's similar. Stay behind. But that also means that, they don't stay as outdated. They've got a good business, good solid business model, which I appreciate. Doesn't matter for the individual knives per se, but just kind of cool. Like that blade shape. Drop point, nice clip on the top there. Really cool. About the only complaint I could say on this knife is the blade's a little narrow for me. And that, goes back to the being really thick behind the edge. I think it's a little too thick. I like it being that. Thicker than a slicer because of what it's trying to do. But if this was a little wider, it would do two things. One, it would reduce that thickness behind the edge just a little bit. And two, aesthetically, it would look a little nicer. To me, it's a little off with this thinner blade, and the handle, it feels kind of off. The blade seems a little narrow for the knife. Same with the Tanto coming up. It's similar, seems a little odd. Doesn't affect the functionality per se. Seems a little odd. However, it does mean that when it's closed, it is a little narrower this way, so it does carry a little better. So that is the plus side to that piece. So I would definitely consider picking this up. I really like what they've done here. I hope they do more thicker stocked blades like this in different models. I think it's really cool. I like it. Pick it up. Cold Steel SR1. Well, pick it up if you're into it. You might not be into it. I'm kind of this, my era of knives were the overbuilt, kind of simple designs. I'm not really into the latest trend of the super lightweight flippers with all the cutouts everywhere and the pieces kind of going into each other. I think it's cool. The manufacturing marvel aspect of it is amazing that they're able to make some of these. But to me, I don't like them. I like simple, blocky, kind of stronger type knives. That's just my personal style. I'm of that era when that whole boom happened with that kind of stuff. The younger guys are into the more wispy, kind of super overly designed, not overly, but super designed, tons of cutouts like I mentioned in the blade and cool things going on. It is interesting. It's amazing they can produce these knives, but it's not so much my style. That may change. Anyways, guys, I'm out of here. I've talked too much. Take it easy. Enjoy your weekend or week or whatever. Hang in there. Have fun. Get some knives.